And let's have Arishka show us what Virasana is.
Hello, Arushka. Good morning.
Okay, so Arishka, come to all fours. Now bring the knees together and take the feet apart. And now you're going to very gently walk your hands back and come to a seated position between your feet.
Shalona, they say no sound. Just check your sound.
I am unmuted.
Okay, I can hear you, so I'm not sure.
Probably they are muted or they have muted us. I don't know. Okay, so Arishka, come to a seated position between your feet and place your hands on your thighs. That's it. Sitting up nice and tall. And so this is a classical version of Virasana, but many of us cannot sit like Arishka on the floor between our feet. So we use props. So the first prop we're going to use is a yoga block. So Arishka, you can come up gently and take the yoga basket. So she's placing the yoga block between her legs so she can sit on it. And that elevates the hips, but it doesn't take away from the pose. It just makes the pose more comfortable. And if you don't have a yoga block, you can always use a pillow or a folded towel. And if you have a bolster, all the better. So Arishka, you can use the bolster next. So just scoot back a little, that's it. So once again, knees touching, feet apart, and you're sitting on the bolster, hands on the thighs, back nice and straight, gaze soft ahead, and just regulate your breathing and just be comfortable in the pose. So that is Virasana. Thank you, Arishka. Now you can come up back to all fours and gently down. Thank you. So that was Virasana. So Virasana once again is named after Lord Hanuman and his so basically after the war with Ravan, he went back to Ayodhya with Ram and he was now he was now a servant to Lord Ram. So there's two traits to Lord Hanuman, that of a servant and that of a hero or a warrior. So the seat that he takes to show his devotion to Lord Ram is Virasana. So sometimes we see in pictures that he's got one knee up, and at other times he's sitting between his feet. So symbolically now for the body, when we sit in that pose in yoga, it's about strength and energy within and power within our bodies. So this pose is generally used or most often used during meditation and breath work because of the spine. So when you are sitting in that position, your tailbone is elongated. So you're creating space for your tailbone. And so the entire spine is like in alignment. And when you're doing breath work, you need that alignment for energy to travel through those chakras freely. And then also it calms the mind and relaxes the mind and enables you to meditate more comfortably as well. It's also it's much more comfortable than your cross-legged position in meditation. So a lot of people who cannot sit cross-legged during meditation, they sit in Virasana. So yeah, that's Virasana, a very powerful pose. So for us, it's about conquering or surrendering to the process of meditation and breath work. So yes, that's Virasana.
Okay. So I actually thought while you were doing it, let me just get onto the floor and try it out. One plus is that I could actually do it. And the second is that it was killing my thighs.
Yes, it was a strain. But eventually, like with all yoga poses, once you start doing it, the muscles lengthen and it becomes much, much easier. So the only reason we feel that burn and whatever discomfort we're feeling in our body is because our muscles are like compressed. Now, when we're doing yoga, you're stretching it. And if you do it often, you're keeping it in that position.
So one of the things I have seen is that this is a practical thing I've seen from the person who is the regional coordinator of Brahma Kumaris in South Africa, right? No, regional coordinator of the region of Africa. Her name is Sister Vedanti. Some of you may have met her when she came. And so because she has a busy schedule and traveling from place to place, sometimes she just has her meal and then she has to get into a car. And believe it or not, she'll take her shoes out and she'll do the Veer Asana in the car seat. And so I asked her, I said, what you do? She said, you know what? The thing is that you don't get a chance to digest your food and, you get to sit a lot. So by doing that, by doing the Veer Asana, she found that it helps with her digestion. And what you just said about the breathing and keeping your spine erect, because obviously if you sit like this slunge, the digestive process is actually going to be hindered. And that's really something very beautiful in a sense that, and when I look at her physically, she's already coming to 75 and so active, keeping herself like always vigilant about what can I do to keep my body. And so when I saw her, I just thought, she just does it because she does all those breathing things and all that. But this I thought was very beautiful, related to the the fact that you can digest your food and using the time in the car to actually do that. So
that is one of the benefits, is that it improves digestion. Aside from stretching the thigh muscles and keeping the knees supple as well.
So the other thing that you once recommended to somebody who was diabetic, you said for somebody who's diabetic, they must use the biggest muscle in their body, which is their thigh muscles. I'm thinking for diabetics, this would be such a good thing as well.
It is. Right? It is.
Wow, what a lovely learning experience. Just so many things you can incorporate in your day. So I also, when I sit on my chair in the office, I generally throw my shoes out and I sit cross-legged. But I think I should do the Veer Asana and get a little bit more of a harder platform to sit on, and then that would be good. But I was thinking when I thought about the quality, because we are definitely speaking about surrender here. And for surrender, the beautiful thought is that I have the faith and understanding to know that my learned behavior do not serve me. I have the courage to let go of my deceptive ways and reconnect to the truth. And so the strength here, this strength allows me to have humility, keeps me anchored in that which is true, and gives me inner power. I am fearless. So it very beautifully for me was a connection of how that which is subtle apologies, there's definitely noise. So it was so nice to be able to kind of connect that when I understand what is really in my way, in a sense, to expose my real self. And normally those things are things that we hold on to. So like, when you look at in a war, when the two parties are fighting, then the person who brings up the white flag, he says, okay, I give up. I accept that, I need to give into the fact that this is not really worth fighting for. And I think it takes the bigger person to do that surrendering. And in the world, sometimes the surrender is, if I fight, and everything is destroyed, then actually who wins? Everybody loses, because everything was completely defeated. But if the one who surrenders says, okay, wait, let us come to a point where we stop fighting, but then we agree that let's try and rebuild. So that means the person who's rebuilding, or the party that's rebuilding, has something to work from. But when we just stay to the point at something that's weak because our ego doesn't want to give up, then actually we really destroy everything. So I was looking this and thinking about it spiritually, that we do things sometimes that are convenient for us, that maybe we've convinced ourselves, because the ego wants to be something great. And surrender means I'm coming to my knees and I'm saying I can't anymore. But it's not really that. It's a bigger person to know that my way is not 100%, and then let me rather go onto the path of truth. So that's what I surrender. I surrender my deceptiveness to the truth, and then allow that to actually empower me. So there's definitely going to be growth for me in that process. I don't know, Shalina, you're nodding your head. Do you have something to say?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay, so another thing that I also thought was very beautiful when thinking about this quality of surrender is that sometimes when we are a little bit how can I say stubborn, or we also have a little bit of ego is one, but there's stubbornness. But the other thing is fear. And fear is connected to the fact that I have identified this to be victory. So, for example, in the situation of war, if I don't win the argument, then I feel I have been defeated. But actually, what was I fighting for? I was fighting for some just cause. But if in the midst of fighting for the just cause, I destroy everything and I kill everything, then actually I really compromise my values and my virtues. And so it takes a deeper insight, not to be deceived or deluded by limited attainment, but to always have that power. And so this idea of being brave, it really means that you have to look at your weaknesses and go against your own weaknesses as well. That takes a lot of courage and strength. It's easy to have a lot of muscle and know I'm really good and withstand. But to know my weakness and to face it is another kind of bravery that is required. And that kind of courage comes because we are surrendered to a higher energy, and that is truth. So in our meditation, because you're using this posture connected to meditation, and so in meditation, what am I really doing? I'm creating pure and positive thoughts. And these pure and positive thoughts can be only attained when I give up the false identity of who I am, when I give up the negative delusions that I have, and I actually embrace that which is very much part of me. But it may be something I have forgotten, so I have to relearn it again. But I'm committed to relearn it without feeling ashamed or feeling at a loss, but working with that which is inside of me and letting it come to the surface. So when I was thinking about it, it just brought so many beautiful elements of exploration, and to understand that the word surrender is not somebody who is a weakling, but it takes power to be able to give up your weakness and to stand firm in what you truly are. So before I go into the meditation, Shalona, is there any closing statements you want to make about our posture, our pose?
Just listening to you speak, I'm reflecting on the story that I had. When you said that it takes the strength to actually be able to surrender. And now if you look at Lord Hanuman, he's this really mighty being, he has the strength. He doesn't need to surrender. He doesn't need to fall at the feet of Ram. but it really takes that. He didn't have ego in him, like we're speaking about. We're speaking of ego. There was humility, and all of those qualities enabled him to actually go down on his knees. And I think similarly, we as well, we need to let go of that ego and just embrace humility and surrender.
And so, you know, for Hanuman, if I remember correctly, he looked at Lord Rama as his God. And so his surrender was such that if you open up Hanuman's heart, you would only find God. And that level of truth, where I'm only allowing my life to be constantly moved by truth only, and I'm not allowing anything of the limited perceptions or belief systems to come in the way. And I think that's really beautiful, because in this world especially, you know, we constantly say that, oh, you can't do this because it's like this. You can't go and do a job because of this corruption or that. You know, you can't have an honest business because if you don't play up to the people's rules, you will not have business. So we've actually given ourselves a belief that we can't actually be honest in this world because it's so corrupt. So what does it tell us? We're so powerless, isn't it? And I like to think that, you know, my victory lies in, I mean, if you walk onto a pavement, which is paved beautifully, what's the effort? Walk in a bush where there's no pathway, then you understand what strength you have. So I think it's so lovely for each of us to take on this challenge to be a pioneer, to pave the way. And, you know, if you think about it, if this country of ours was going at war physically, all our young men would be recruited. And I think today equally young women could also be recruited, because they could actually, you know, take on that responsibility to fight and defend the country. So there we are. I understand the country to be mine. And so I look at it as something that I need to do to serve it. And I want to make sure that that which is creating a threat is actually being stopped. Now, what if we think about another war that's taking place, the war which is the evil of darkness, of ignorance, in comparison to a world of light and virtue and goodness. And so this war has already started, where the darkness is taking over, the ignorance is taking over, and people are just moving like robots without actually applying themselves at all. And if I understand that I can save the day by becoming that soldier of light and actually defending that soldier, that peace, love, and happiness, so that the darkness doesn't come away, overcome everything. Because we know what darkness is. It's just the absence of light. So if more of us stepped into our light, there's no room for the darkness. And so subtly, I feel that you're not going to get an example in front of you, but you have to become the example. You have to be the change that you want, which is by our great Mahatma. But really, it's, if we want to create our own greatness, don't wait for anybody, you know, step into your own light and be powerful. So surrender the deceptive ways and embrace that which is true. Okay, let's meditate. Om Shanti. So I take a deep breath. Go inside that sacred space within my being, where I have the clarity, the honesty, the humility, the courage to recognize that which is true from that which is false. And this power of clarity is born when I have a clear recognition of who I am, who I belong to, where I come from, and my connection with time and with all living beings in this world. Knowing that in the past, my understanding was of myself as just being this physical body, which had a time of existence, a space, and also the belief that we are all separate, each one to fend for themselves. And in creating this separation, the illusion brought about competitiveness, comparison, criticism, and allowed us as a human family to bring about the darkness of ignorance. And now I take a few moments and ask myself, am I continuing to be the victim of what I have created, of the delusion, the mirage within my own understanding and thinking? And with that courage, I accept the defeat to have gone on the path that separated me from my true self. And having resigned to the fact that I made a mistake, I now come to that point to free myself from covering up those mistakes, those lies, that dishonesty, and I expose myself. I bring myself in front of the light of truth, the supreme being who is like the burning sun, constantly emanating that light of peace and love, happiness and joy, wisdom and power. And as the light of truth showers over me, the darkness of ignorance is dispelled, and I become revealed, exposed, and I realize that within me lies the treasure of all goodness. I am that sparkling diamond, and as long as I stay in the light of truth, that light will allow me, the diamond, to shine. And it's with this pure pride and confidence that I'm able to transform any missteps, any mistakes, and create an opportunity for my growth, my progress, my transformation. So let me, for the next few moments, gaze into myself, that flawless diamond, balanced, strong, completely unique, exclusive to myself. I am independent. I am detached. And as I stand powerfully on the podium of life and allow my connection of the Supreme to be that spotlight on my life, I allow the goodness within me to shine. I see myself as that beautiful, radiant being, spreading abundant light into the world, the light of peace, the light of love, the light of being authentic, being powerful, the light of being overfilled with joy and wisdom. I allow that light to just shine and radiate, connected to the source of truth. My light becomes an endless fountain, filling the cups of anyone who comes in front of me. My giving is selfless. My giving is without discrimination, free from judgment. I constantly flow with peace, love, happiness, joy, wisdom, and power. So today, especially, I keep my attention on the diamond I am. And as my inner eye remains focused and clear on the truth within, that light shines outward for all to appreciate, for all to experience its benevolence. And this one step of courage to finish deception and step into truth becomes the seed for change. Om Shanti.